Hi guys, so my name is Kate with Scott Leroy Marketing. Today I'm going to be going over with you guys how to set your goals and view your goals within the Command platform for 2025. We're already in 2025, but there is still time to set those goals. You can always adjust them throughout the year if you want to, change them up a little bit. You can always do that. So we're going to go over how to set those and access them. And kind of just stay on top of them throughout the year so that you know where you're at. This class does not generally take the full hour, so just letting you guys know that right up front. We'll usually get done a little bit early. I'll have time at the end for any questions you guys might have. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to do today is we want to log into Command. So hopefully you're all aware where to access Command, but if not, I will drop that link in the chat. So that is agent.kw.com. Once you are on the Command platform, you should see a screen that looks similar to mine. Let's see, I do have a message. Today's class is not paid ads. Sorry, we are on setting goals today. Let me see when the paid ad class is. So that was the 15th. And there should be another one the 12th of February. Sorry about that. All right. So back to Command, you guys. So from this home page here, there is a location on the home screen where you can take a look at your goals, just so you can keep track of them and keep them top of mind every time you log into Command. And that is going to be here on this home screen. Now, if you're not seeing it, this home screen is customizable. What you want to do to make sure you're seeing those goals when you first log into Command is you want to hit this Customize button in the top right-hand corner. And from there, we want to make sure that our goals are turned on. So you want to make sure that little check mark is selected. If you're seeing it like this, you're going to want to add that. From there, you can determine where you want to see that. So if you want to keep those goals top of mind every time you log in, you can drag these and drop these where you'd like. So if you want your goals to be at the top, first thing you see when you log in, you can just grab that and drag it and drop it where you'd like it to be displayed. Once you have that where you want it and you have everything else turned on that you'd like to see here, you're just going to hit apply. And then you can see it changes right away. So we are now seeing our goals front and center, the top of our home screen when we log into Command. Now, this is just kind of a brief overview of the goals. We're actually going to dive into this a little bit deeper, but we just want to go over this section with you first. So with this section of the goals on the homepage, you can change this up a little bit if you want to see your goals year to date, or if you just want to check in on your monthly goals, you can adjust that as well. As you can see, when I select that change, it immediately updates those goals. A couple of things to pay attention to. You'll see that these numbers down here are changing from month to annual. So when you're checking that out, just make sure you're on whichever one you're most interested in seeing. Now within that, you're able to see how many leads, year-to-date leads that you've gotten. You're going to see the percentage there for your goal for the year. So that will kind of update as you're going through these. You'll also see your full annual goal at the bottom. So once you've set your goals, you're going to see these numbers kind of populating and updating as you're adding contacts and appointments and things like that to your Command account. Sorry, just still letting people in. Now, next to leads, you're going to see that you have appointments. Again, you have year to date. When you hover over this specific one for appointments, you're going to see that it's going to give you the percentage of those appointments that are either listings or buyers. So it's going to give you a breakdown of what you're actually doing within your Command and who you're meeting with. Again, you have your number here for your annual goal. And moving over, you have, again, under contract. You're going to have how many under contract year to date so far. Again, the percentage breakdown, listings versus buyers. You have your annual goal. And then, of course, you have your closed units year to date the percentage of listings and buyers, and then your annual goal. Now over here on the far right, you're going to see your GCI breakdown. Again, these will kind of update as you're updating your numbers and your goals, and as you're adding those different pieces of information to your command. And then down at the bottom, it's going to also show that estimated total GCI. If you hover over this, it's going to show you the percentages for those different things. So you're going to see cost of sales is green. You have your operating expenses, which is going to be that yellowish gold color. And then you're going to have the blue, which is your profit goal. And we're going to go over those a little bit more in depth as we dive into our goals in the report section. Now, again, you can adjust this to also be that month to date. It will give you a smaller breakdown, of course, on each of those specific goals that you've set for yourself. Again, just a quick overview for how you can quickly jump into your command and get, a glimpse of what's going on with your goals if you don't want to jump into the full report section. Now, for the rest of the goals, we do want to head over to the reports section. If you're not familiar with these applets, you can hit the red and white KW to expand that menu bar. Or you can just hover over those icons to see what they are. We're going to head into reports, which looks kind of like a graph. Now that we're into here, we have our dashboard. We are going to move straight into this goals section of the reports. So we're going to switch over to that. Now, once we're in our goals, a couple of things we want to point out. It's going to show you the last update time today at 3 a.m. These are not updated instantly. As you can see, it kind of gives you a little note. This information, it comes from the opportunities applet. And it's not going to update instantly. So it should update. Usually I see it update once a day around the same time. Yeah, so your reporting data is calculated each night and updates daily. Recent changes will be reflected the following day. So as you're updating your goals, keep that in mind. It may not reflect all of your updates or changes until the following day. But you should always be able to come here and see when the last update was so that you have an idea if it's updating correctly or not. And again, it is letting you know that the information here, so where all of this data is pulling from, is from your command applet and like contacts. So as you're adding those things within command, you're moving people through your pipeline, you're setting appointments, all of that good stuff. All of these numbers are going to start updating. So it is important to kind of keep up with those things. I know some people aren't super adamant about moving their contacts through the opportunities pipeline, but this information is going to be much more accurate if you are moving those people as those things are happening. So just keep that in mind. Moving along though. So you have your goal versus your actual here. So you'll have what your actual goal is at the bottom, and then of course your year to date. So this will start to plug in as you're adding your leads to command, as you're getting those leads to be contacts in your database, as you're setting appointments for those opportunities. When you're having a kept appointment, you'll also have when you are doing agreements, when you're creating those agreements, when you're under contract, and when you've actually closed a deal. So all of these will start to update from there as you're doing those things. So this looks very similar to what we saw on the home screen. However, it does have a few more pieces of information we weren't seeing on that small breakdown on the front home screen. So you didn't have appointments set or kept, agreements, things like that. So you get a bigger picture of those goals by coming into the report section. Now you'll have some color coding up here. So if you see anything that is this bluish green color, it's going to be lead gen. The teal is going to be listings. You're going to have orange for buyers, and then there's gray for compare. Now, next to that, we can do show all. If you just want to get an idea of where you are with listings, or if you just want to take a look at your buyers, you can come in here and select these. It will break down these numbers, again, how you set them to show those pieces of information. You can also do just this month or this year again. So that is an option as well. And then lastly, we have this compare button that we can toggle on. So if we turn this on, we're going to get one more new little feature here. This allows us to kind of compare our goals and our numbers to other agents. Now you have a few options when doing this. You can compare with agents in your market center specifically. If you'd like to see how you're doing against agents in your state, if you'd like to see against all agents, how you're comparing. And then there's a couple more. If we scroll down, you have the ability to see how you're doing against the top 10% in the KW world. So great way to kind of see where you want to get to if that's your goal, to be in the top 10%. You can also compare your numbers with agents in your specific production bracket to see how you're doing. And then lastly, you have one more where you can compare your numbers against agents that are in the bracket right above you. So this is a great way if you're striving to get to that next production level. This is a great way for you to see how you're doing or what you need to shift in your goals to get to that next bracket. So super powerful to be able to kind of compare yourself with some other agents if that pushes you and motivates you. I know not everyone is that way. So this may not be something everyone will be interested in. Again, you can also do this month, show all. So all of those options can still be adjusted when you're comparing. I'll go ahead and turn this back off. Now, right below that, we have our profit tracker. So this is going to give you your estimated profit for the year. So annual profit. You can also adjust this based on this month. This is the goal that you set for how much you want to make. So this will kind of start to, I wish it would show it right now, but as you start to fill in your pipeline and as your opportunities are kind of moving through those pipeline, this will start to either be red if you're not on track. So as you can see, your alert means that you're 79% or below for staying on track. So that would tell you, hey, I need to really kick things into gear. So this will kind of start to fill out with those colors based on where you are with your transactions. It can also be yellow, and that basically means that you're 80 to 99% on track. So you may need to shift things a little bit, but you don't need to, go into panic mode just yet. And then green, of course, means you're on track. You're at least 8% toward your annual goal. So again, this bar will kind of fill in. I'm not sure. Nope, I can't go back to 2024. If I could go back and show you last year's, it will give you a better picture of what this looks like. But this bar will start to fill in based on the percentage and how close you are to hitting that goal. And again, if you're on track or not on track. And you can shift that to be for the month. So if you are trying to make sure each month you're on track, you could see that it changes the monthly profit, breaks it down. And you can see that as well to see if you are on track or if you need to pivot. Go ahead and put this back. And then below that, we have some more kind of graphs and charts. The first one is going to be for activities. So this is going to give you information on the activities you're doing within your contacts. So as you can see, it kind of looks at emails that are being sent. If you have smart plans set up, neighborhood searches. If you're using Twilio, adding notes, these activities are, of course, what's going to move those potential clients from just browsing to getting into appointment and being either listing or buying. So making sure you're following up with these activities and that you have some going on. You can, again, change this to either be what's going on this month or this year. And then you also have the ability to switch this to be percentages instead for either of those two. And it will, again, pull this information from your command contacts. So as you're adding activities, appointments, meetings, calls, all of that good stuff in your activities, these are going to start to update based on that information that you're adding. Now, next to that, we have our goal conversion rates. So this is going to give you a breakdown of that information. Give me 1 second. I got to move my Zoom bar here. Again, ability to always go between this month or this year. So you're always wanting to make sure you're staying on track. Again, it's going to shift that annual profit goal when you're shifting that. So you can see that. With that, it's going to go over your closed units, how many are under contract, agreements that you have, appointments kept, set contacts and leads. So this is very similar to what you're kind of seeing up here, except this is your conversion rates. So obviously, if you just have a lead, you're less likely to get to the closing table. Whereas if you have an under contractor agreement, your chances of getting to that closing table and getting that profit are going to be greater. So that's what this kind of goes over right here. And the percentages that you're seeing are the percentage chance of you getting to closing and actually getting that profit. Brenda, I'm going to come back to your question. I won't forget. We will have time at the end, and I can kind of help you through that. All right. Finally, our last graph here on the right-hand side is our GCI goal breakdown. So this is going to be your gross commission income and that breakdown. So as you can see, all of these, when we're hovering over those, are going to give you a little bit more information. Again, yellow is your cost of sales. And we're going to go over these definitions just a little bit more as we move into actually setting our goals. But cost of sales, you have your operating expenses, and then lastly, you have your profit goal. It's going to give you the percentage of that next to it, as you can see, as well as the dollar amount figure. Now below that, we have our estimated total GCI, again, set by us with how much we want to earn per year and what it's going to take to get there. It's going to break down all of this information as we're setting our goals. And at the bottom, you are seeing those amounts that we were seeing up here when we hover over those. So your profit goal, your cost of sales, and your operating expenses. And again, you can switch this to percentage instead. Again, it shows that percentage when you hover over as well. It will be the same. And then you can, of course, switch that to be your monthly as well. So this allows you to get very clear on your goals and what you're trying to accomplish to make sure, again, you're staying on track for that for each year. Now, as we get closer to next year, you'll have another one that will say 2026. You can usually set those a couple of months before, but for today, we are focusing solely on the 2025 goals. So the next thing we want to do is we want to hit this button up here in the right corner that says Goal Settings. So this is where we're going to come in and actually set our goals for the 2025 year. This is also where you will come in if you're looking to make changes to your goals. So if you're a couple months in and you've realized, hey, I need to switch them, I want to do more than what I was originally doing. Or maybe life happens and some things are going on and you need to set those back just a little bit. Just kind of depends where you're at. But you will always come to the same screen when you are either setting them or reviewing and changing them. Quick question. Michael, I'm going to come back to that. We're going to have plenty of time for questions at the end, so I'm going to get through everything. Again, this class usually wraps up within 35, 40 minutes, and we will have all of the time for questions. So I'm going to go ahead and hit get started. And now you're going to see we are brought in to actually set our goals. Now over here on the left-hand side, this is where we're going to actually set the goals that we'd like to hit for this year. And over here on the right, it's going to give us a preview and a breakdown of that information. Now, as you can see, we're first going to set our goals. We're then going to take a look at our conversion rates. Now, as you know, everybody can be a little bit different on their conversion rates. So we're going to take a look at those. And then once we're all done with both of those, we're going to just review our goals just to make sure and take a look at all of that. So the first thing we want to do here is our annual profit goals. Now, what's great about Command is it's going to give you a lot of these little eyes in the circle, and that's going to give you more information on that specific name or what it's called or what it's filling out. So annual profit goals, that is the amount of profit your business earns before taxes are taken out. And it's also after subtracting your cost of sales and your operating expenses from your total GCI. So keep that in mind. That's your annual profit goal. Again, it is before taxes are taken out, but after you've taken out the cost of sales and operating expenses. So again, we only have 2025 right now. Now, the next one we have is what is your 2025 annual profit goal? So how much do you want to make, again, before taxes are taken out? You've already removed your cost of sales and your operating expenses. How much do you want to be in your annual profit before you have to pay the taxes on that? So you get to determine that here. I'm just going to change this slightly just so we have a different number. We'll just bump it. Actually, I think I added too many zeros. There we go. We'll just keep it a nice round, even number. So as you can see, when I am adjusting this information over here on the left, it is adjusting my information over here on the right. Now, the next one is our expenses. Now, your expenses are going to be, trying to think of a good way to kind of define this. So expenses, that's going to be things that you are paying whether a transaction takes place or not is kind of the best way to say it. So even if you don't close a deal, you have to pay those expenses. So for example, these may be your CE or your monthly fees to your office, your board fees, things like that. Cost of sales are going to be things that you're paying specifically when you have a transaction. So if you're paying for photography, if you have a transaction coordinator, if you're buying closing gifts, things like that, that you are doing for every transaction, those are going to be like cost of sale items. So you're going to determine what those expenses are. So how much are you spending every month, whether you have a closing or not? Or yearly. What are you spending per sale and how does that add up? And then down here you have your business makeup. So again, if we hover over this I, it's going to give us more details on that specific piece. So business makeup, this is going to be the balance between your sellers and buyers. So are you more seller heavy in your business? Are you more buyer focused? You get to kind of determine that. And then it says average commission per unit. This is going to be the balance between sellers and buyers in your business. So we would come in and adjust these. Are we focusing 75% on listings and 25 on buyers? Are we working with leases at all? You can add that in if you are. Do you kind of want to do a 50-50 business? Oops. Yeah. Okay. Are you 50% buyers, 50% listings? This is kind of where it comes into play on what your business looks like or what your goal is for the year. Do you want to focus more on listings versus buyers? And then again, your average commission per unit. Make sure you're taking into account your specific area and what that average commission is when you are plugging in this information. Let me take a look at these chats. Let's see. There is one the photo that you that you took a screenshot, you may be zoomed in, which is why you're not seeing that. It looks like your screen may be cutting some of the text off. You may want to see if you can zoom out of your screen a little bit. If I miss any questions, I will come back to those. Let's keep plugging along so we can get done and have time for all the questions. So again, after we've adjusted our information over here on the left, we'll see that information update over here on the right. Again, we can hover over each of these. When we do that, it's going to tell us specifically what each of those are. And it's actually down here. I'm sorry, I'm hovering over the wrong spot. So again, your annual profit goal, that is going to be the profit your business earns before taxes and after you subtract out your cost of sales and operating expenses from your total GCI. Your cost of sales, those are again expenses that are made only when a transaction takes place. And it gives you some examples here. So maybe some that I didn't mention. This includes splits to agents. That's a super important one that I kind of missed. Transaction coordinators, if you have ISAs. This also includes your market center and brokerage fees, as well as referral fees and things like that. So of course, anytime you're having a transaction, you're paying your brokerage fees, your royalties, things like that. You want to take those into account for your cost of sales as well. And then lastly, your operating expenses. Again, those are expenses that are going to be paid whether you are closing a deal or not. For example, they listed salaries. So if you have an admin on your team or an admin that works with you, any lead generation or marketing expenses that you might have. Again, education, so CE. Occupancy, automobile expenses. Again, CE would come into play here. You're going to have those no matter what. Your monthly office fees, things like that. So operating expenses, you're going to have them no matter what. So keep those in mind. Once we're done with adjusting our goals on this screen, we just want to hit continue in the bottom right-hand corner. Now that's going to bring us into set our conversion rates. Now, again, everyone can be a little bit different when it comes to conversion rates. So what are the chances of this deal closing when you have someone that's just a lead? When you have them as a contact, if you've set an appointment, maybe you have a 90% chance of getting them to closing table instead of 75. You can come and adjust these for each. You'll see that there's 3 different colors. Your green is going to be for listings. Your orange color is going to be buyers, and then the purple is going to represent those leases. Now, if you're new in the business or you're just not really sure what your conversion rates are just yet, they do offer recommended conversion rates. That's going to be kind of what you're seeing here. Now you'll also see that we have the listing, buyer, and leases. So each of those are going to have their own section, which adjusts those. So if you are different for buyers versus listings, you can come in here and manually edit these. Now, again, you see that it has a little I. So each item below represents the rate at which one item converts into another. If you convert 5% of your leads to contacts, you have that 5% conversion rate. Now you can also decide that if you don't want to use their recommended rates, you can come in here and set your own. So if you have been in the business for a while and you know that your numbers might be a little bit different, you can adjust this. So you'll toggle this set individually on, and from there, you'll have the ability to adjust these numbers down below. So let's say we want to change this one to 90%. Let's say this one is 80. It will adjust just for listings. Now, if you also want to adjust your buyers, you can come in and do that as well. Let's say we're 95%, or 80%, let's do 85. You'll see that each column has its own different conversion rate now. Now I'm going to go ahead and convert this back to the recommended rates. Just wanted to show you that you can adjust those for each of each of the different categories. Again, if we wanted to change the leases too, we could change that. And that will manually adjust the numbers over here on the right-hand side. Now I'm going to go back to the recommended rates and it will reset all of that information. Once we're done with our conversion rates, the next thing we want to do is we want to hit continue again. Now, we're just going to review everything that we've gone over and all of the information we've input. So as you can see, we're seeing on the left-hand side those conversion rates again. We can just review them, make sure that it got all of the information correct. We can take a closer look at our conversion breakdown. Again, it's going to give you each of those definitions if you want to hover over them just to make sure. You'll see the percentage as well as the dollar amount for each of those. Up here, you're going to see your annual estimated GCI that you're looking to hit. Down below, your business makeup. So again, how many listings versus buyers? And then your average commission per unit. So again, you want to make sure these are correct for your local area. But what is the total commission for those, or the average commission for those per unit? Now, once we're all done with this, the last thing we just want to do is hit set goals. And again, just to let you know, it may not always update this information right away. We may need to come back and take a look at that. However, it looks like it went ahead and updated this. I think the most important thing that's not going to update immediately is going to be anything that's pulling from your opportunities or your contacts or anywhere else in command. Those are generally going to update when that updates in the top right-hand corner. Right. So again, this class is usually a little bit shorter. That is everything I wanted to cover with you guys today. I am going to stick around for questions, but if anybody does not have any questions and wants to jump off, you will not hurt my feelings. Have a wonderful day. I hope this was helpful and thank you so much for coming. I'm going to go ahead and stop record so we can go through any of those questions you guys might have.